Good morning, everybody. I'm Jacob, and today we are going to be reading Genesis 29 through 33. Let me know if the audio is better with this. I was kind of cooking up a scheme. I'm thinking this is better. Like, if you guys can hear me better, just because close to my voice, right? So, anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why. Sometimes it feels like it's like I'm so much more busier on the weekends because we're kind of like getting ready for Thanksgiving, so that's why I haven't been reading uploading more than one a day. Well, guys, you think I should stick with the the mid tape, or you guys think I should go back down to a low tape? Because I don't know, my parents are split, like not split, but like split decision on whether I should get a mid or a low. So just let me know, guys. I'm gonna ask my boy Juan what he thinks. So we got, after this reading, we got 4 more days of Genesis until we go to Exodus. So, Genesis 29. Jacob arrives in Paddan Aram. Then Jacob continued on his journey, and came to the land of the eastern peoples. There he saw a well in the field, with 3 flocks of sheep lying near it, because the flocks were watered from that well. The stone over the mouth of the well was large, where all the flocks were gathered. The shepherds would roll the stone away from the well's mouth and water the sheep. Then they would return the stone to its place over the mouth of the well. Jacob asked the shepherds, "My brothers, where are you from?" "We're from Haran," they replied. He said to them, "Do you know Laban, Nahor's grandson?" "Yes, we know him," they answered. Then Jacob asked them, "Is he well?" "Yes, he is," they said. "And here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." "Look," he said, "the sun is still high. It is not time for the flocks to be gathered. Water the sheep and take them back to pasture." "We can't," they replied, "until all the flocks are gathered and the stone has been rolled away from the mouth of the well. Then we will water the sheep." While he was still talking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. When Jacob saw Rachel, daughter of Laban, I don't know why I've been saying Laban, his mother's brother, and Laban's sheep, he went over and rolled the stone away from the mouth of the well, and watered his uncle's sheep. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and began to weep around. He had told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and a son of Rebekah. So she ran and told her father. As soon as Laban heard the news about Jacob, his sister's son, he hurried to meet him. He embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his home. And there Jacob told him all the things. Then Laban said to him, You are my flesh and blood." Jacob marries Leah and Rachel. After Jacob had stayed with him for a whole month, Jacob said to him, "Just because you are a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel was lovely in form, beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, "I'll work for you for 7 years to return for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It's better that I give her to you than some other man. Stay here with me." So Jacob served 7 years to get Rachel, but they only seemed like a few days to him because of the love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife. My time is completed, and I want to lie with her." So Laban brought together all the people of the place and gave a feast. But when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and gave her to Jacob, and Jacob lay with her. And Laban gave his servant girl Zilpah to his daughter as her maidservant. When morning came, there was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me?" Laban replied, "It is not our custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older one. Finish this daughter's bridal week, then we will give you the younger one in return for another 7 years of work." And Jacob did so. He finished the week with Leah. And then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to be his wife. Laban gave his servant girl Bilhah to his daughter Rachel as her maidservant. Jacob lay with Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he worked for Laban another 7 years. Jacob's children. Verse 31. When the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery. Surely my husband will love me now." She conceived again. And when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one." So he named him Simeon. Again she conceived. Sorry guys, I'm gonna start having a box of tissues. Probably shouldn't have done that with a white t-shirt. I'm gonna start having a box of tissues just right here because all the time I have to blow my nose. Okay, Simeon. Again she conceived, and when she gave birth to her son, she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." So he was named Levi. She conceived again, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. This version of the Bible, or just this Bible, has definitions for everything, and they're next to all the names. So let's see what they mean. So the first one she conceived was Reuben. So let's see, B. That is northwest Mesopotamia, also in verse 5 and 6 and 7. Northwest Mesopotamia. So he's named after a city. And then Simeon, let's see. Hebrew El Shaddai. I don't know what that is. Oh, wait. Reuben sounds like the Hebrew for "he has seen my misery." The name means a son. I was reading off the wrong page. Both of them have like these things, and they're coordinated with letters. So I looked on this one instead of this one. So Reuben means for "he has seen my misery." It sounds like the Hebrew thing for that. C. Simeon probably means one who hears. Levi sounds like it may be derived from the Hebrew for attached. Okay. Genesis 30. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I'll die." Jacob became angry with her and said, Am I in the place of God? Who has kept you from having children?" Then she said, "Here's Bilhah, my maidservant. Sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I too can build a family." So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. Jacob slept with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Then Rachel said, "God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son. Because of this, she will be named Dan." Dan. Dan here means "he has vindicated." Well, let's see what Judah means. So, Judah sounds like it may be derived from the Hebrew for praise. So Judah means praise. Okay. Okay. Rachel's servant Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob's second son. Then Rachel said, "I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won." So she named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her maidservant Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "What good fortune!" So she named him Gad. Good fortune, or a troop. So that's what God means. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, "How happy am I! The woman will call me happy." So she named him Asher. Asher means happy. Okay. During wheat harvest, Reuben went out into the fields and found some mandrake plants, which he brought to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "Wasn't it enough that you took away my husband? Will you take my son's mandrakes too?" "Very well," Rachel said. "He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes." Wait. So when Jacob came in from the fields that evening, Leah went out to meet him. "You must sleep with me," she said. "I have hired you with my son's mandrakes." So he slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she became pregnant and bore Jacob a fifth son. Then Leah said, "God has rewarded me for giving my maidservant to my husband." So she named him Issachar. So it means reward. His name means reward. Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, "God has presented me with a precious gift. This time my husband will treat me with honor, because I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Sometime later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Sorry, I got something on my chair. It's whatever. Wait, how far are we in? 33, okay. Okay. Well, where were we on this page? This is a lot. Just fine, I was just checking. He will be named Zebulun. Sometime later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and opened her womb. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son and said, "God has taken away my disgrace." She named him Joseph and said, "May the Lord add to me another son." What does Joseph mean? I wonder. Joseph means may he add. Okay. Jacob's flocks increase. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I've done for you." But Laban said to him, "I have found favor in your eyes. Please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added, "Name your wages and I will pay them." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have worked for you and how your livestock have fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I have been. But now, when may I do something for my own household?" "What shall I give you?" he asked. "Don't give me anything," Jacob replied. "But if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages, and my honesty will testify for me in the future. Whenever you check on the wages you have paid me, Any goat in my possession that is not speckled or spotted, or any lamb that is not dark-colored, will be considered stolen." "Agreed," said Laban. "Let it be as you have said." That same day he removed all the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the speckled or spotted female goats, all that had white on them, and all the dark-colored lambs. He placed them in the care of his sons. Then he put a 3-day journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob continued to tend the rest of Laban's flocks. Jacob, however, took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and made white stripes on them by peeling the bark and exposing the white inner wood off the branches. Then he placed the peeled branches in all the watering troughs, so that they would be directly in front of the flocks when they came to drink. When the flocks were in heat and came to drink, they made it in front of the branches, and they bore young that were streaked or speckled or spotted. Jacob set apart the young of the flock by themselves, but made the rest face the streaked and dark-colored animals that belonged to Laban. Thus he made separate flocks for himself, and did not put them with Laban's animals. Whenever the stronger females were in heat, Jacob would place the branches in the troughs in front of the animals, so they would mate near the branches. But if the animals were weak, he would not place them there. So the weak animals went to Laban, and the strong ones to Jacob. In this way the man grew exceedingly prosperous, and came to own large flocks, and maid servants and men servants, and camels and donkeys. Jacob flees from Laban. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything, our father owned. He gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had meant. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were, and he said to them, "I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, 'Jacob.' I answered him, 'Here I am.' And he said, 'Look up and see that all the male goats mating with your flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted.' So I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you appointed a pillar, and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once, and go back to your native land." Then Rachel and Leah replied, "Do we still have any share in our inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you." Then Jacob put his children and wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he has accumulated from Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban has gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, and crossing the river, he headed for the hill country of Gilead. Laban pursues Jacob. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled, taking his relatives with him. He pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried away off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me, so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of tambourines and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's house. But why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, he shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me. And if so, take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent, into the tent of the 2 maidservants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "What sin have I committed that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring your animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself. And you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime and cold at night, and sheep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years. I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks. And you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has sent my hardship and the toil of my hands. And last night he rebuked you." Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather some stones." So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha. So this means, the Aramaic means witness heap. Okay. Jegar Sahadutha. And Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." This is why it was called Galeed. It's also called Mitzpah. Mitzpah, because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me, and when we are away from each other, if you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar. I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness. This pillar is a witness." that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side and harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country, and invited his Okay, let me read the last word. Sorry, these are paper pages, so they stick together real easy. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. Jacob prepares to meet Esau. I was waiting for this. I was wondering when are they going to meet up with Esau? Because I know Esau is going to, in modern day terms, crash out. Well, that's what I think. Or maybe it's been so long that he stops. This is just weird hair because I put way too much conditioner in like last week. Okay. Genesis 32. Jacob prepares to meet Esau. Jacob after went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named the place Mahanaim. Okay, Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my master Esau. Your servant," Jacob said, "I have been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, men servants and maid servants, and I am sending this message to my lord, that I may find favor in your eyes." When the messenger returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau, and he now is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the group that is left may escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, O Lord, who said to me, 'Go back to your country, your relatives, and I will make you prosper.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two groups. Save me, I pray, for the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper, and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted." He spent the night there, and from what he had said, he selected a gift for his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels and their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, "Go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds." He instructed the one in the lead, when my brother Esau meets you and asks, "To whom do you belong? And where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you?" Then you are to say, "They belong to your servant Jacob. There are gifts sent to my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us." He also instructed the second, the third, and all the others who have followed the herds. You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. Be sure to say, "Your servant Jacob is coming behind us," for he thought, "I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending on ahead later. When I see him, perhaps he will receive me." So Jacob's gifts went ahead of him, but himself spent the night in the camp. Jacob wrestles with God. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it's daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, "This is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him, and he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon to touch the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. So, they don't eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip. That's cool. So, his name is Israel. That's still a country to this day. Okay, Jacob meets Esau. Genesis 33. Jacob meets Esau. Jacob looked up, and there was Esau, coming with 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maidservants. He put the maidservants and the children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother. But Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Then Esau looked up and saw the women and children. "Who are these with you?" Jacob answered, "These are the children God has richly given your servant." Then the maidservants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all came Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. So I said, "What do you mean by all these droves I met? Do you find favor in your eyes, my lord?" he asked. He said, but Esau said, "I already have plenty. You're my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." "No, please," said Jacob. "If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see you face to face is like seeing the face of God. Now that you have received me favorably, please accept the present that was brought to you. For the Lord has been gracious to me, and I have all I need." And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. Then Esau said, "Let us be on our way. I'll accompany you. Because Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are tender, and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant, while I move along slowly at the pace of the droves before me, and that of my children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." Esau said, "Then let me leave some of my men with you." "But why do you do that?" Jacob asked. "Just let me find favor in the eyes of the Lord." So the day Esau started on his way back to Seir, Jacob, however, went to Succoth, and he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. This is why the place is called Succoth. After Jacob came from Padam Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan, and camped within the sight of the city for 100 pieces of silver. He bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, the plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There he set up an altar. He called it El Elah Israel. El Elah Israel. Let's see E on this page. Can mean God. The God of Israel, or mighty is the God of Israel. Okay. that was long but good. Story of Jacob and Laban and their struggle. It's crazy how fast paced, but how like knowledge dense the Bible is. Cause I mean that whole story. I mean it's pretty like. It's only 2 pages long. The whole story of like. Okay, the whole story of like Jacob and Rachel and Leah and his descendants and meet up with the side. It's very short, but you still like understand it very well. And yeah, they came in good favor. His name is now Israel. So yeah, let's pray. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, I pray that you help us understand your teachings and understand what you want us to get out of it, Lord. Pray that you help us spread your word, and I hope you help us stay blessed throughout our daily lives. Hope you protect us from all evil, Lord, and I pray that you help us through our daily lives. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Come with us tomorrow. Sorry I haven't been uploading as much. I'm going to try to get back on track. So yeah, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.